Welcome, I'm Reverend Jayne Coley, and if I got a talk for you today, it's all about the value of your home, your sanctuary. And we all live somewhere. And this is real estate is very near and dear to my heart, as many of you know. Just as my dad knew he would be a house mover by age 8, I knew by age 19 that I would work with people in houses because I love putting together a match of a house with a person and who they are, their values, their beliefs. So in looking at that, we're going to look at your home, your space. And I was thinking about our space as we replicate how we value ourselves, because it also shows how we value our time, our energy, and how our house is kept. And for me, I was thinking, how would I describe my home? Would I describe my home that it's like a mirror of who I am as a person? When I walk through each room, do I have that feeling of honoring and valuing myself and my commitment to the divine? And does your home reflect that same thing? That is, would you say that your home is a snapshot of the values you have and the commitment you have to yourself, to your self-care, since our home is about nurturing ourselves? Does it show your home the value and commitment you have to the divine, with having a beautiful space for which to connect with, whether it's in meditation, whether it's doing spiritual mind treatment? So as a result of this, I was looking at my systems in the home, and do they reflect who I am? And what I realized is that I am going to, in this talk, connect and compare the connection between each room of your home. Even if it's an apartment, you live in one room, so each different space within your room or rooms, and how that manifests in our outward expression out in the world, how our inner space, our sanctuary, our home, how that is a reflection of how things show up in our home. So the purpose of this talk is not to say, oh, you didn't do your corners or you have clutter here. It's more to assist in expanding your powerful expression by decluttering areas, by making spaces more inviting and inviting people into your space, maximizing natural lighting, creating nurture spaces throughout the home. So when you walk into a room, you're like, oh, I just love this space. I love this room. This really feeds me. Because the home is where we sleep. It's where we do our spiritual practices. It's where we eat. It's where we nurture ourselves and go inward. Because of that, I realized that it's very important that our space is like a sanctuary. It's a gift that expresses our divinity. We can gain respect and care for that which houses in new, healthy ways in 2020. And I'm looking at this as a decade. So 2020 as this year, but for the next 10 years, how you show up for your home, your space. And since New Year's, I have been going through my home, clearing corners, moving furniture, and making welcome both people and the flow of money, because they're connected. And I've been valuing my time, my energy, my money, and myself as a mother, a wife, a friend, a realtor, a minister, all of this in one. Mary Morrissey made this comment in one of her programs, can't remember if it's Prosperity 2 or 3, and she says that making money welcome is about realizing that money comes, the first currency of money that the divine sends through our divine center of operation, our mind, is an idea. The last couple of weeks, because I've been looking at my space and valuing myself and how do I see myself, and where are there parts of me I want to declutter how I see myself, I realized that an idea has to be matched with an insight, which then connects with people, which then connects with money. So when we talk about prosperity, wanting to increase our money, it's about connecting with other people. And there is this exchange that comes as an idea. Then we get an intuitive thought to connect. and then we exchange a service or a product, and then there's this exchange of money. The money doesn't have the power, and making it welcome means making our spaces welcoming in how we nurture ourselves within our own home. And I was reading How to Be a Badass with Money. Thank you, Reverend Linda. Love the book. It's a little colorful, but the exercises are exceptional. And you write out your story of money, and not to get too much into that, but what I realize is I came up with a mantra, and I'm only going to give you the short version of it because the rest relates more to me than it might you. And what I realized is that if it does really flow from ideas of first currency, divine center of operation, everything happens first in mind, then in form, idea, intuitive thought, people, connection, transaction, exchange. As a result of that, this is the mantra that came to me. Money finds shelter with me because I treat it so well. It loves me and finds me in every turn in my bank account, in my attraction of ... So let me say that again. Money finds shelter with me because I treat it so well. It loves me and finds me at every turn in my bank account, in my ... So mantras are really a key element that when we're even cleaning around a house, we can be running this mantra to enhance our financial cash flow. Benko, a feng shui expert, talks about that often when she goes into her clients' homes, there are emotional issues that you can feel in the home. And she offers these couple of questions to ask ourselves. Do you have trouble getting clarity? And she says, check if you have stuff all over your surfaces. She says, do you have self-esteem issues? Check if your mirrors are hung too high so you can never measure up. She says, are you chronically single? Assess if you're loading up your home with single imagery, single vase, single chair, single person in a picture. In feng shui, they say that the front door is such a valuable element of its consideration for us to look at. It's like the portal of our energy. And as we bring people, even if you live in an apartment, is your front door decorated? Is there a mat that's very clean outside the door? Is it inviting to come through that door? I remember when I lived in Toronto in an apartment over top of a cowboy boot store, they had the most beautiful door. And before clients even got up to my apartment, I would open the door to greet them and they would see stairs leading up. And I mean, time after time, they would say, oh my gosh, what a beautiful place. And I would think, you're not even up the stairs yet. How can you even say that? But it was the door. It was new. It was fresh. It had some stained glass in it. It was very inviting. So I invite you to make your entry very inviting. I redid mine yesterday. And this leads me into this idea of one theme. I noticed I did it naturally. I never used to do it naturally. And this is only since this last fall that it's becoming more natural to me. Before, I would have furnishings that might be from all different eras. So one might be what I now have as a modern farmhouse theme throughout. Might have been bohemian, so it had a flavor that might have been Eastern, or it might have been a modern piece, or I might have had just a regular piece of furniture. But all of them in my space made for a very hodgepodge kind of a feeling when you came through. Nothing really threaded together. The colors weren't cohesive, the textures. And so whenever I had this friend who was an interior decorator, she would come to visit, I would run around the house and clean everything up. And I never quite understood why she never went, oh my gosh, I just love the way your space is, even though it'd be clean. Because when I go to her house, I would see that hers was really clean, meticulous, in fact. But then I asked her about it. I thought, I'm just going to ask her, your space is so inviting. What is it? She said to me, I'll never forget. She said, you must thread a color from the outside and weave it through each room. And that made me realize that in her home, she brought the same natural earthy tone. She threaded them in. She had sheepskins that were inviting. She had a fish aquarium there for water flow. She had really beautiful artistic artwork on the wall. And it wasn't that it was expensive or something out of my reach at all. It was more that it was a space that invited you, and it flowed from room to room, color to color. So since I brought somebody in this fall to help me with that, I didn't even know that there were 100 shades of white. 100 shades, no kidding. And out of those, my interior decorator said, I want you to get a taupe undertone. I did not pick a taupe undertone. I tried it under the sunlight, but I learned from that experience. And when she finally said, oh no, this is what you're looking for. Now, as I added grays, everything balanced. It was like that one palette change of changing all my windows to this off-white with a taupe undertone brought and threaded this modern farmhouse, and it opened up through my windows. So I would say to you, look at your window dressing. And now I have blinds instead of curtains in many of the rooms because it opened up my windows. It freed things up for me. And this is something that I noticed as well is when I go to my bedside, if there's too many books stacked up, there's a part of me that gets kind of anxious about that. And I caught myself the other day scolding myself, you need to keep up with your reading. And my mind was trying to tell me to value where I sleep as a sanctuary. And I realize that now. It's not trying to scold me. The same within my office. When I put receipts on my desk or something that's for taxes, I make it a point to put it away within 24 hours. And the reason for that is the same thing. My office is a sanctuary. It's where my flow, where my receipts, my paperwork, where my clients can visit. Most of mine is done by the phone, but there is an energy of sitting by a desk that's piled up versus one that is clear and inviting and ready for the day. In my kitchen, I look at it as Troward said, my mind is a divine center of operation. I see that with my kitchen. My kitchen is a divine center of operation. I do my very best each night to clear my surfaces, prep for the next day, have a few things out on the counter ready to go so that when I wake up, sometimes at 4 in the morning, my pineapple's really easy to find in the fridge. I've got my coffee loaded. If I'm doing up something else, I've got it already prepped. So when I start my day, I start it ready and as though I was inviting God into my space, because each person is a connection to God. So our home, we're inviting people in, this exchange of a product, a service for money. We're exchanging our energy, our space with that. My refrigerator, I remember my son saying, Mom, the fridge seems so cluttered and, these leftovers. So from that point forward, I started cleaning my fridge more. I started noticing when things look cluttered in the fridge because, again, I'm nurturing my body temple. This is a sacred space, even my refrigerator. Another important area is our living room, where we invite guests into our space. Well, I've got pets, so I have to keep up at a different pace than if I didn't have pets. You might have small children. You might have, a spouse that isn't as clean. You might just have yourself. But again, respecting that each part of your space is your sanctuary that nurtures, that connects you with God, that connects you with a part of yourself. So for me, I keep these clear. I honor and value it as though I'm honoring and valuing God into my space. And since changing my home, the theme into one theme, and then I did it when I cleared my front door. There I was putting out 2 chairs for my husband and I, and they're different, yet the color happened to be the same. The pillows, they're different, but they're in the same theme. All of the pieces that are outside of my door now, they thread that through the house. And before, I had this big chair and I covered it up, and it was a chair I never liked. It was one my husband liked. And I realized, what was I doing just leaving that there? And it's because it was so awkward to move. So look at your space. And I invite you, for myself, to keep a space clear and clean and the energy flowing. I do some things that almost motivate or enable me to keep the space clear. So I invite a cleaning lady in anywhere from once a week to once every 10 days. By doing that, I'm going around the house getting it ready. And I'm grateful for that because then it's affordable. I do part of the work, she does part of the work, but all my corners get done. My windows get done. My space is clear because, like I said, I have pets. So I can keep up with it without it running my life. So that is one that I do, is with the cleaning lady. Another one that I do, and we can always exchange, it doesn't have to be money, you can always exchange a service for a service. So know that you too could have that. Another one that I realized that I do is I host company over at least once a month, because then I'm doing the same thing. I'm going around, I'm clearing the space, and I try to go through top to bottom so that it's very pleasing and inviting for my guests. Because remember, guests, people are like this exchange, which also brings financial fluidity as well. So know that the connection and correlation of the two, you might not bring your customers through your house, but that house does correlate to your customers connecting with you. And the other thing I do is I have now set up a recycling centers in my kitchen so that I'm more environmentally friendly. I have almost all of my cleaning products are now environmentally friendly. So in closing, what I want to leave you with is this idea of inviting you to value, to commit to each room in your house. Invite God into each space, into your closet, into your kitchen, into your refrigerator, and to see your home as a sanctuary, this nurturing place for you, for others, where it's welcoming all your spaces, even if it is one room, but all your space within that, that it's welcoming. And that it welcomes ideas, that it welcomes clarity, and it welcomes your intuition. Because remember, idea, intuition, connection to people, exchange of money. So in doing that, I know that if you narrow it down to one theme, thread a color through the home, open up your spaces, clear and declutter, your financial flow will connect with that sanctuary, your divine sanctuary. And I know your financial flow will be enhanced, expanded. And you'll be saying, yes, I love my sanctuary. I love my home. Thank you. Have a blessed day.